Greetings all, Joe Lum here. Earlier this week I learned that Alice Cooper is reuniting with his old bandmates Michael Bruce, Dennis Dunaway, and Neil Smith for the first time in over 50 years, as an announcement was made that a new Alice Cooper album called The Revenge of Alice Cooper is set to be released in July of this year. So in this week's album rankings video, I rank every single Alice Cooper studio album ever released. As always, when you're done watching this video, you can check out past episodes, as the playlist is in the description box. Remember to subscribe to my channel, smash the like button, and click on the notification bell, and when you see a new video, you can check it out yourself. Number 29, Raise Your Fist and Yell, 1987. This album isn't the worst due to the artwork, which didn't help matters, but Cooper, with the likes of talented musicians such as Kane Roberts and Kip Winger, who would go on to form his own band shortly thereafter, creating the kind of music that a high school bully with a boombox would play back in the 80s. The production was relentlessly chintzy at its worst. Number 28, Zipper Catches Skin, 1982. There was a period in time where Alice Cooper blacked out. It's no secret that he had substance abuse problems. If you listen to this record one time, you'll have no memory of hearing it yourself. The early 80s were a dark time for Alice Cooper. Number 27, Special Forces, 1981. Another album from Alice's blackout period fared a little better than Zipper Catches Skin, mainly due to the frontman's frantic energy playing into this record's sonic identity. But songs like You're a Movie and Skeletons in a Closet sounds like parodies that a new wave of music that was sweeping the mainstream in the early 80s. Another poorly produced record. Number 26, Easy Action, 1970. The Alice Cooper Band's second studio effort. This one displayed shades of greatness to come with nods to Broadway plays like West Side Story. However, the band was still green, but they would get better in the years to come. Number 25, Pretty's for You, 1969. The debut record from Alice Cooper's band. This is one of the more interesting than it is good albums. What made it lower on this list is due to the close to Led Zeppelin-like influences, such as Frank Zappa's Mothers of Invention and Syd Barrett's Pink Floyd era. The standout song is a melody called Reflected, which would be reworked as Elected in 1973. More on that later. Number 24, Lace and Whiskey, 1977. This third studio outing from Alice Cooper saw him abandon the gimmicks that made him successful on Welcome to My Nightmare and Alice Cooper Goes to Hell for a fedora and a revolver, as his alter ego faced another alter ego in the form of Gumshoe Maurice Escargot. What this record did was combine 70s rock with pop music from the 40s and 50s, with songs like the Boogie Woogie anthem Damned If You Do, the ballad You and Me, and the disco-fied No More Love at Your Convenience. It was too much of a poorly conceived cabaret show. The only song not poorly received was It's Hot Tonight, featuring grimy guitar riffs from Dick Wagner and Steve Hunter. Number 23, Along Came a Spider, 2008. For Alice Cooper to release a concept album this late in his legendary career probably contains the most coherent of any of his previous concept albums. In this one, he portrays himself as a serial killer that collects the legs of his dead victims to make his own human spider. I'm not making that up. Anyways, his character gets even creepier, even singing to the tune of Wake the Dead. The record itself is a tangled web, no pun intended, of weirdness. Number 22, Dada, 1983. With this record, Alice Cooper actually caused a nightmare, and most of that is due to producer Bob Ezrin's creation of a carnivorous and chaotic environment. This was at the time, and kissicist Paul Stanley talked about it in his book, that Bob Ezrin was fucked up on drugs, which caused the creation of Kiss's Music from the Elder, an album which back then was a disaster for them. But with Dada, Alice himself matches the dark mood with some dark humor on tracks like No Man's Land and I Love America. While the concept behind this one ran out of gas, the record's closer, Pass the Gun Around, didn't. That song was a cry for help. Following the release of this record, Alice Cooper would get clean and sober once and for all. Number 21, Constrictor, 1986. This is considered Alice Cooper's comeback record. Honestly, in my opinion, it is his most underrated and underappreciated album of the 1980s. This came when Cooper recovered from drug and alcohol abuse following the release of Dada. The standout tracks for this record is Teenage Frankenstein and He's Back, the Man Behind the Mask, which was featured as a theme for Friday the 13th Part 6, Jason Lives, which was released in August of 1986. The downside of this album was it had sonic limitations of the poorly processed pop metal sound, which would dominate the mainstream in the mid to late 80s. Number 20, The Last Temptation, 1994. As the hair metal phase ended in the early 90s, Alice Cooper decided to make his first concept record in 10 years with The Last Temptation. This one finds the protagonist, Steven, from Welcome to My Nightmare, the first one, lured into a twisted freak show by a sadistic showman portrayed by Alice himself. This is one of Alice's more harder and heavier albums than his heyday with the Cooper Band. This one featured collaborations with the likes of Chris Cornell of Soundgarden, Night Ranger's Jack Blades, Styx's Tommy Shaw, and songwriters Mark Hudson and Jim Vallance, known for his work with Bryan Adams. Lost in America, Stolen Prayer, and It's Me were the standout tracks. Number 19, Flush to Fashion, 1980. I don't get this record at all, but if you're a fan of the new wave music of the early 80s, you probably get it more than me. This draws inspiration from groups like the Thompson Twins, Talking Heads, A Flock of Seagulls, and even the Cars. Just because he changed his sound didn't mean he threw away his dark tendencies, as he managed to pull out cuts like Pain and Nuclear Infected. Number 18, Hey Stupid, 1991. Following the success of Trash, Alice Cooper was looking to follow that up with Hey Stupid. The problem was by 1991, the music landscape was transforming once again, as it always done every fucking time. By the time this record came out, it was an attempt to keep Alice Cooper in the mainstream, and it worked to a degree with tracks like Love's a Loaded Gun, the title track, and Feed My Frankenstein. The latter song appeared in the movie Wayne's World, which saw a cameo appearance from Alice himself. Not even the legion of guest stars like Motley Crue's Nikki Sixx and Mick Mars, Ozzy Osbourne and guitar virtuosos Steve Vai and Joe Satriani couldn't save this album from being just as if not more successful than Trash. Number 17, Brutal Planet 2000. Alice Cooper going industrial was the worst thing he ever did, because that genre of music faded in the late 90s. But this album tackles more than the usual horror movie tropes, which made him famous. On Brutal Planet, he focused on real-life events that are scarier than those tropes, topics such as domestic violence, starvation, and school shootings. At least he showed dedication and thought through the record, which was his only saving grace. Number 16, Dragontown 2001. Picking up where Brutal Planet left off when it came to the industrial genre. But this time Cooper, along with producer Bob Marlett, found some texture within the all-out heaviness. Cooper's attention remains on important subjects. However, this time around, he don't have the weight of the planet on his back. He sounds like he's having fun, and that rockabilly heavy metal goof song called Disgraceland allowed him to do a bad impersonation of Elvis. Give him points for trying, though. Number 15, From the Inside, 1978. His fourth solo effort was more like an Elton John record than an Alice Cooper one. But that's not an insult. He really managed to take members of John's group, along with songwriter Bernie Taupin, to create this record. I guess he drew inspiration from the guy who brought us Rocket Man and Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. I'm not sure. Whatever. This was filled with pop rock vignettes inspired by people Alice himself met while being treated for alcoholism in a sanitarium. From the inside is a short story collection filled with fascinating cuts between the glossy tunes and twisted tales. Number 14, Road 2023. Okay, this is Alice's most recent album with contributions from MC5's Wayne Kramer and Tom Morello of Rage Against the Machine. It's a concept record filled with touring songs seen through the eyes of a road vet weary from decades of travel. Road counts the ups and downs in the life of the godfather of shock rock, from the opener I'm Alice to Welcome to the Show. It's like a grand theater from the artist who's played out multiple roles on stage. There is a cover of The Who's Magic Bus that ends the tour, Chronicle, which is one of Cooper's best work in the 21st century. Great for those who followed the man's career for the last 55 years. Number 13, Detroit Stories 2021. This album was more of a love letter to his hometown of Detroit, but it's hardly a sentimental walk down memory lane. Songs like Social Debris, I Hate You, $1,000 Heel Shoes, and a sunny rendition of Our Love Won't Change the World, originally performed by Outrageous Cherry, were all standout tracks. This record featured surviving Alice Cooper Band alumni such as Michael Bruce, Neil Smith, and Dennis Dunaway, along with Wayne Kramer of the MC5, and original Grand Funk Railroad frontman Mark Farner. All the guest contributors to Detroit Stories, which is a fitting tribute to one of the U.S.'s richest musical epicenters. Number 12, Muscle of Love, 1973. After the theatrics and thematic unity of albums like Billion Dollar Babies and School's Out, the group endeavored to go back to their hard rock roots with Muscle of Love. The only song in this one that stood out was Teenage Lament 74. And by the way, this is the last Alice Cooper album to feature the Alice Cooper Band. Number 11, The Eyes of Alice Cooper 2003. I think this one was a mixture of Alice being inspired by the revival of garage rock and him going back to his roots. The songs on this one rarely last more than 3.5 minutes, and you got the tracks like Between High School and New School and Man of the Year as standout tracks. This record was more crash and bash, but it also featured well-crafted songs, brilliant songwriting from The Eyes of Alice Cooper. Number 10, Welcome to My Nightmare 2011. The sequel to Alice Cooper's debut solo record. This was a very well-produced sequel, and Bob Ezrin has finally cleaned up his act for the first time. Cooper had 3 surviving members of his original band contribute to 3 tracks. Desmond Child contributed as well. Very well-produced sequel to the original 1975 album. Number 9, Trash 1989. This one is Alice Cooper's most successful album of the 80s, thanks to songs like Bed of Nails, House of Fire, the power ballad Only My Heart Talkin', and of course the top 10 hit single Poison. This album featured guest appearances from members of Bon Jovi and Aerosmith. Trash reached the top 20 on the Billboard 200 and went platinum. Again, his most successful album of the 80s. Number 8, Paranormal 2017. It's been 6 years since the Welcome to My Nightmare sequel, and Paranormal packed enough firepower to make this a much listened to album. To me, the standout tracks were the title track, Dead Flies, Rats, and Dynamite Road. Number 7, Dirty Diamonds 2005. Picking up where the Eyes of Alice Cooper left off, this was filled with remarkable tunes inspired by the British invasion of rock and roll and straight shooting punk. This album featured guest appearances by Brother Kane's Damon Johnson, solo artist Ryan Roxy, and rapper Exhibit. Perfect and Sunset Babies are the standout tracks, and were Stones-inspired rockers for sure. Number 6, Alice Cooper Goes to Hell, 1976. His solo outing was showing off his passion for musical theater, which you can't blame him for. Go to Hell is one of his best opening tracks, and the ballad I Never Cried remains one of his most personal songs. If you love his solo work, this is the album for you. That is, if you're into theatrics he generates on this record. This album is a nadir of 70s AOR rock, a bloated mess of over theatrical radio goo, cheesy ballads, and disco. Number 5, Welcome to My Nightmare 1975. His first solo album since the breakup of the Alice Cooper Band, he embraced the dream, or nightmare, of becoming a song and dance man. A departure from the raucous rock of the Alice Cooper Band himself, but there was enough showbiz to make this record less jarring. Songs like the title track and Only Women Bleed, the only ballad on this record, are the standard tracks for the first of many concept albums Alice Cooper would do on his solo run. Number 4, Killer 1971. I don't see what's so special about this record except Under My Wheels and Be My Lover being singles and the standout tracks. But Killers has that mixture of sweaty rock and roll brilliance, garage rock freakouts, and oddball ballads, all wrapped up in a glammy, sleazy package. The album Killer went platinum in the US and reached number 21 on the Billboard 200. Number 3, Love It to Death, 1971. The first album produced by Bob Ezrin, and there will be an album review on this and many more Alice Cooper albums in the foreseeable future. This is one of the records that laid the foundation for hard rock, heavy metal, and even punk. With producer Ezrin leading the charge, the Alice Cooper Band rehearsed non-stop until the album was done, and that record went on to go platinum and reach the top 40 on the Billboard 200. Songs like Caught in a Dream, I'm 18, and Ballad of Dwight Fry all stood out from this record. Number 2, School's Out 1972. By the time this record came out, Glenn Buxton and Michael Bruce built a partnership in switchblade licks and sledgehammer-like riffs, while the solid rhythm section of Dennis Dunaway and Neil Smith fired on all cylinders, along with Cooper's Unholy Howl, as the title track depicted the group at the pinnacle of its power. School's Out reached number 2 on the Billboard 200, and another platinum record. And the best Alice Cooper album, number 1, Billion Dollar Babies, 1973. This album reached number 1 in both the US and UK. It also went platinum. Billion Dollar Babies was peak Alice Cooper Band. Billion Dollar Babies is the band, not the solo artist's longest record to date, clocking in at 40 minutes and 51 seconds. The standout tracks were the title track, Hello, Hooray, Elected, which is a rework of an early Alice Cooper song Reflected from Pretty's For You, and No More Mr. Nice Guy, a song that would be covered by thrash metal titans Megadeth on the 1989 soundtrack to the movie Shocker. Hands down, No More Mr. Nice Guy is my favorite Alice Cooper tune. Here is a quick recap of the 29 Alice Cooper albums ranked by me. And this is my opinion from worst to first, so don't beat me up in the comments. This was a difficult list to rank depending on the fact I have never listened to anything Alice Cooper post Last Temptation era. I'm just going by reviews, good and bad.